Where did you find this?
Discord friends.
Did you ask them to send like?
Well, see, no, like I was mentioning the podcast to my Discord friends,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "Oh, we used to read funny fics and terrible fics to each other all the time," and I'm like, "Oh, okay," and they're like, "There's one you need to know of," and I said, "Oh,
What the hell is this? Wattpad? Okay, this is new.
and I'm not kidding.
All right,
It's awful."
so it's literally just called Worm Kink.
Yeah.
Worm Kink
Worm
by
kink.
Anno Brain Styles.
Yeah.
Wait, who? Like, what is this? What is the what series is this from?
This isn't from a series.
It's just
It's just
a worm.
all
kink.
original.
It's just smut.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Part 1.
All right.
Harry almost drops the box as he tries to close the heavy door behind, whilst his eyes were totally focused on the young man lying on the bed in the center of the room.
Oh, he's a beauty, Rufus.
And Lewis was. His tan skin in stark contrast to the sterile white sheet that partially covered his body. Harry had the boy be laid onto the maternity bed he had ordered specially for this occasion. Ugh, Jesus. Okay. He looked absolutely delicious, with his slender wrists cuffed against the bed railing, his legs splayed open and bound by leather restraints onto the stirrups. To tease a glimpse of his bubble butt just peeking below his thin blanket. Oh boy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's alright so far. Gently, Harry set the box on a table next to the bed, crouching down to peel the black vial covering it.
Veil.
Veil?
Black veil.
Inside lay a giant worm. Oh no! 6 inches in length and an inch thick. Okay. That's a reasonably sized worm.
Reasonably sized worm.
Rufus didn't look happy, trying to burrow himself under the silk cloth that had lined his box to get away from the blinding white light that flooded the room. Why is it... Okay. Go to the basement for this. Harry frowned, opening the top part of the box.
Are you mad at me, Rufus? I'm sorry if I jostled you a bit. You know how clumsy I can get.
He said, gently poking at the worm's tail.
Come on, buddy.
The whole thing is the tail.
I know, right? Come on, buddy. Aren't you excited to see your blushing bride?
Another twitch, and the silk lining covered more of Rufus at Harry's side, turning off the main light to the room, leaving the soft yellow light directed onto the bed for illumination.
There. I turned off the lights. Are you happy now?
He was very concerned about the lights.
Definitely.
And it seems like Rufus was. The worm finally peeked back out, bringing a huge smile on Harry's face.
I bet you like to meet him, don't you?
Okay, so Harry's on the bed, tied, right?
No, Lewis is on the bed tied up.
Okay.
Harry has a box with Rufus, the worm, and he's talking
Rufus is talking? He's the worm?
No, Harry is talking to Rufus, and Rufus is the worm.
Okay.
Harry is the guy talking to Rufus.
Okay. And then
Rufus does not talk.
And then Lewis is about to get wormed.
Wormed.
Carefully, Harry takes the worm in both hands, pulling the sheet low on Lewis's hip, resting Rufus on the soft bulge of his tummy. The soft bulge of his tummy. The worm was restless for a bit, but finally settles and curls itself near the sleeping boy's navel. He's sleeping?
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh no!
He's sleeping or passed out, one of the two.
Oh, okay.
Isn't he pretty, Rufus? And his skin is so soft. I can just imagine how nice it would feel inside him.
Harry let his finger trace Rufus's length before letting it frolic against Lewis's tummy. Wait, did I say Lewis twice? Or am I crazy in my own head?
Harry let his finger trace Rufus's length before letting it frolic against Lewis's tummy. Well, I think it's because they both ended.
They just... us.
Yeah.
The curly-haired boy smiled, imagining how more beautiful the young man would look with his tummy swollen and filled with Rufus's eggs. Oh yeah.
Well, it's about time you lovebirds get properly introduced, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Harry gently brushes Lewis's disheveled hair, pushing the brown locks from his eyes.
Lewis.
He whispered.
Lewis, it's time to wake up.
The gentle voice slowly coaxed Lewis from his sleep. The boy moaned as he nuzzled against Harry's touch.
Wake up, Lewis. Someone's here to see you.
Oh god. The voice was oddly calming, despite being so foreign. Ugh. Lewis didn't really know who was calling for him, but he found himself wanting to wake up just to find out. Long lashes fluttered open to reveal soft blue eyes. Oh, Lewis. It took a few more seconds for them to adjust to the faint yellow light until they finally focused on the sole other person in the room.
Hi, Lewis.
Who are you? Lewis cringed. Sounds like he's not based. Lewis cringed at the roughness of his voice. He made to touch his throat. Wait, what? He made to touch his throat, but found himself unable to do so due to his restraints. Ooh. Ooh. Harry smiled wider. Oh no. As he watched the realization dawn on Lewis's face, he felt slightly guilty for the tightening of his jeans. Lewis was Rufus' girl after all. Wait.
Rufus's girl. Quote unquote girl after all.
Oh, okay. But Harry couldn't help it. He had always enjoyed seeing raw fear and helplessness and particularly marveled in instilling it. Patiently, he waits as Lewis weakly fights against his restraints. Oh no! Yelling for help that will not come, only mindful of Rufus possibly falling from Lewis's tummy, still unseen by the hysterical boy.
Was he funny?
I think that should be the only thing you say during this recording. Harry never understood why they bothered to fight. Resistance was futile. It amused him. However, that Lewis held out longer than others. Oh no. It gets really boring when they give in so easily. It all ended the same, however. Lewis lying, spent on the bed, even more helpless than before, his eyes glassy with tears. A few trickling down his cheeks. Oh.
Let's start again, shall we?
That earned Harry a glare, which he let pass with a smirk.
Hi, Lewis. My name is Harry.
Gently, he takes the slumbering creature in his hands, almost laughing at the noise that came from Lewis as he realized there had been a giant worm on his stomach this entire time.
This is Rufus.
Lewis was visibly shrinking against his bed. He wasn't particularly fond of critters. Whoa, it's a bit racist there. But that thing was a monster, looking more like a stunted snake than a worm. Lewis's skin crawled at the thought that just seconds ago that thing was nestled on his stomach. Why am I here?
To celebrate, Lewis.
He smiled as he petted Rufus in his hands.
You see, Lewis, today's a big day for Rufus. He's going to be a man soon, and being the best friend that I am, I decided to get him a proper woman. And I just think you'll be perfect for each other, don't you?
Oh God. Lewis laughs as his words sent Lewis
laughed.
Oh, sorry. Harry laughed. Lewis is not laughing right now.
No.
Harry laughs as his words sent Lewis thrashing against his bonds. Once again, the cuffs dinging against his wrists. Digging?
Digging.
Digging against his wrists. He tutted, looking disappointed at Lewis as he put Rufus gently in his box.
I had hoped you'd be more cooperative, but seeing as that's not the case...
He grasped the leather straps at the end of the bed, buckling them tight against Lewis's hips, completely immobilizing him. No. Harry bit back a groan. Lewis sounded so broken, it was beautiful. The boy's whimpers only intensified as he held Rufus a few inches from his face.
Don't be a tease, Lewis. I think it's about time you give Rufus a kiss.
Lewis was sobbing freely now, trying to catch Harry's eyes. Harry, please. Harry was quickly losing patience. The Styles temper was renowned after all. What?
Wait a second.
Is this Harry Styles?
Harry Styles!
Oh no!
No! Oh no!
Who is Lewis then? Is that like... Oh God. I don't even
God. Want to... Harry, what about watermelon sugar?
Oh boy. Okay. Am I saying kiss? You're saying kiss him.
Kiss him.
His tone was sobering, silencing Lewis's whimpers immediately. Lewis found himself nodding, shifting forward to press a kiss on Rufus's squirmy mouth. Squirmy. Should he put... Harry smiled. Lewis had done well.
Don't be chaste now. You got to give him some tongue.
Oh God. This is getting weird. Lewis visibly cringed. Again? But one look from Harry and he had wiped off the look of disgust on his face. He presses his lips against Rufus's mouth again, goosebumps trailing the back of his neck. As he feels the cold skin brush against his lips, it took all of Lewis not to pull away as Rufus secretes a slimy substance against his lips. An impatient
Lewis
came from Harry, and he stilled himself as slowly. He stilled himself as he slowly. What?
parts his lips.
Okay, as he slowly parts his lips, slipping out his tongue, licking Rufus's mouth. Oh, yeah. Harry can't hold back the glee in his voice. He can't believe the boy was actually Frenching a worm. Gently, he removes Rufus's head against... he moves Rufus's head against Lewis's tongue. Giggling as the other boy moaned into the kiss. Ugh.
That's enough.
Somehow, those words had Lewis wishing he was still kissing the giant worm. Harry was unpredictable, and he didn't dare imagine what the other boy had planned. Wait, what?
He didn't dare imagine what the other boy had planned.
Okay. Rufus was gently laid on his chest this time, with a warning look from Harry, lest he move carelessly and buck his best friend off. Oof. Harry grabbed a tube of lube from a near table and sat himself between Lewis's legs. The taller boy let the blanket gather on Lewis's lap, bearing the boy's cock and balls to him.
Balls.
Yes. Yes. Lewis gasped at the sudden draft, his face turning a deeper red.
I see you enjoyed that. Rufus is a good kisser.
Harry teased as he ran a finger up the length of Lewis's hard cock. Lewis whimpered, choosing not to protest when his body had betrayed him so completely. He could hear Harry pop the bottle of lube. That's okay. Pouring a small amount on his fingers.
That's you.
I never.
Had sex? I know. I would never hook up my best friend with a slut.
Lewis is a virgin?
Lewis is a virgin.
Warm fingers brush at Lewis's taint, his cock twitching from the touch.
Although, I may be wrong about you.
His cheeks burn in shame, biting back the moans that threaten to spill from his lips as Harry's fingers brush up and down his crack.
Good night, guys.
Well, it's been fun.
Oh my god.
The worm had somehow made its way into Lewis's right nipple? Okay. The mouth rubbing against the hardened nub. The slime secretes serving as lube.
Well, you're just a damn Casanova, aren't you, Rufus? How did you know the bitch likes her nipples played with?
Lewis couldn't fathom how such small movements could feel so good. His untouched cock was pulsing, and he could feel pre-cum leaking down its length, down to his balls. Harry wasn't making things any better, opting for that time to brush his fingertips around his hole. Please. I don't like being Lewis. I don't want to be Lewis anymore. Harry smirked, feeding on Lewis's pleas.
What do you want, Lewis? Do you want something inside you?
Without pretense, he hooks a finger just under the rim of Lewis's hole, quickly pulling his finger back, fiddling the rim like guitar strings. Oh, God. Lewis could only moan, his head falling back against the bed. Succumbing to the pleasure, with that, Harry breaches Lewis's virgin ass with his finger, pulling out to pour more lube on his hand, thrusting in once again to coat the boy's insides. Lewis groans as Harry adds a second finger. Oh boy.
Oh man.
Much earlier than he would have liked. Wrong move. Yeah, too soon. His hole stretched tightly around the two digits. He could feel every callus, every joint, hissing as the boy's sharp nails scraped inside his soft walls. A slap against his bottom made Lewis jump, and if the worm weren't suckling tightly on Lewis's hardened nub, it would have flown off his chest.
Loosen up, bitch! We don't get enough time.
A pained whimper escaped Lewis's lips as Harry's strong fingers forcibly stretched his hole, scissoring inside him.
Ouch.
A third finger. Oh, whoa!
Shame.
A third finger follows shortly, and Lewis is visibly sobbing. He's just crying. He tries to push Harry's fingers out of him, but the boy was relentless, pumping his fingers through, each time getting deeper. He can't even... I don't even want to imagine what he's doing.
Good girl.
Harry cooed as Lewis finally starts to relax, his hole sucking in Harry's digits on its own. He smirks as he crooks his fingers, brushing against the boy's prostate. Oh, yeah. Lewis keens, his heels digging against the stirrups, poised to ride Harry's fingers only to be frustrated by the bindings of his hips.
You see, Lewis? Good girls get rewarded. Are you a good girl?
Harry ghosts around Lewis's spot, teasing. Yes, yes, please, just please. It feels so good. Harry smiles, knowing that he's got Lewis where he wants him.
I want to hear you say it, Lewis.
Why? What are you having me read? He lets his fingers lick against the gland as a promise. Nigga. I read it as it was spelled.
Okay.
I'm a good girl. I'm your good girl. Just Harry, please. Harry does as promised, his fingers brushing against the bundle of nerves in alternating pace. That's the way to do it.
There you go.
Good man.
Good man.
Lewis was delirious, his knuckles white as he grips the bed railing, toes curled as his heels dug against the stirrups. The worm itself was rubbing against his tender nipple. Yeah, this worm is still just sucking on his nipple this whole time. Yeah, intensifying the pleasure getting from his prostate massage. His cock was weeping.
Weeping. It was weeping out, dude.
Watching Naruto.
It was watching Naruto. His cock is weeping.
Why did I read it like that?
Weeping, dude.
Shit. His own pre-cum dribbling down to coat Harry's fingers. He could feel the familiar heat bubbling in his groin, his balls tightening closer to his cock. He could feel himself slip onto the precipice. Then, nothing. Harry had pulled away his fingers, leaving him feeling empty. His cock and balls ached, having been denied to come. Ooh.
You weren't being a good girl, Lewis. Good girls never come before their boyfriends. You can't leave poor Rufus hanging.
He's right. How could we forget Rufus? Just sucking on his tit. Lewis would only cry in shame. He had sobered up and was now just realizing how low he's gotten for a few minutes of pleasure. Wow, Lewis, come on.
Come on, Lewis.
Have some common decency, Jesus. He had more reason to cry, however, as he sees Harry holding a metal speculum? The boy had coated it with a liberal amount of lube. And made Lewis's hole still loose and open. I don't want to.
Yep.
Okay. Harry, oh God.
Yep.
Harry slipped it in easily. The speculum was longer than Harry's fingers, so it had to twist it around a couple of times to get it all in.
Ouchie.
Lewis whines as the cold metal drags deliciously against his spot at every small movement. Soon, Harry was twisting the speculum open.
Yep.
Ignoring Lewis's groans or pleas that he was spreading him too wide too fast. When he's done, Harry grabs a flashlight and shines it down Lewis's stretched hole.
It's you, Lewis.
No, please don't look. I hate this. Lewis tries to keep his legs together, his hole fighting against the cold metal prying open.
Ouch.
He felt so raw to be exposed in such an intimate way. This is really a struggle for me to read, Jesus. Harry was rubbing himself against his jeans. Nice. all guilt from cheating on his best friend gone from his lust-filled mind. Louis looked so beautiful in the inside. His passage a nice light pink color. He could feel the heat deep within and knew that Louis would make a great wife for Rufus. Oh, they're getting married.
They're getting married.
I'm trying so hard not to picture what's happening, but it's not working.
Just wait till you see what happens.
To Louis's horror, Harry had plucked Rufus from his chest. Oh no.
Yep.
The worm, reluctant to
let go.
The worm, reluctant to let go of the nub it's been sucking on. He kept on shaking his head, speechless, and quite disbelieving of what Harry had planned to do. I can't even read this. To do all along. Harry's focus was solely on Rufus, however, wishing him good luck. Louis tried to squirm as Harry's hand. Okay, I need to readjust.
Readjust. Take a drink.
Louis tried to squirm as Harry's hand disappears from his sight. Oh no. Clearly poised to lead Rufus inside him. He could feel something move against the metal speculum, and the familiar cold rubbery skin bristled against his insides. No, please take it out. Harry, please. Someone help me, please. Harry rubs himself against his jeans as soon as Rufus was mostly inside Louis. The worm was a lot longer than the speculum, and it has to burrow itself on its own. Harry groans as he watches Rufus's tail whip back and forth, disappearing slowly in Rufus's stretched hole.
Fuck, Louis, such a good girl.
Louis clenched his ass muscles as soon as he felt the worm's head deep within him, but the worm was persistent, rubbing against his hole, sending shivers down his spine and causing his muscles to slowly relax. He was fighting a losing battle, and soon enough the worm had burrowed an inch or two deeper than the speculum. Satisfied with that depth, Harry slightly loosens up the speculum, not wanting to pull it out of Louis at its full girth. Thank God, good guy. Good guy, Harry Styles.
You can at least do that, yeah.
With an evil smirk, he tilts it slightly upward before pulling it out. Ah, you motherfucker! Letting the cold metal graze deliciously slow against the boy's gland. Louis almost comes right then and there if Harry had not squeezed his balls painfully tight.
Yikes.
No!
Bad boy!
Shit. Soon the speculum lay forgotten on the table. Aw.
Poor speculum.
Poor guy. As Harry watched Louis's hole slowly tightens around Rufus, Louis hated the sensation. He felt impossibly full. His ass walls were also very sensitive. He could feel the small filaments around the worm's skin when he couldn't before. They tickled inside him every time it moved. He looked at Harry, not really knowing what the boy was planning next or when he could take the worm out. He had a bored look on his face. Like he was expecting Rufus to do something. Impatience won out and Harry grasped the base of Louis's cock tightly.
Clench.
Lewis jumped at that, startling the worm inside him. Realization dawned on Lewis, and he felt his stomach fall. Uh-oh. Adept fingers were teasing the head of his cock, rubbing incessantly on his piss slit. Tracing circles on the sensitive head, brushing against the crown. Just keep reading. Just keep reading. Lewis couldn't help but tighten around the monster inside him. And just as Harry had planned, it annoyed the slumbering worm. He was sleeping?
Guess so. Comfy and warm in there.
To Lewis's dismay, he could feel the worm twist inside him, coaxing and moan from his lips. Harry's hand had left Lewis's cock to play with his own. Wow. Selfish. The worm was awake now, and it slithered within Lewis, thrashing out against his tight insides. The friction drove Lewis mad. He was torn between writing out the pleasure and being disgusted by his situation. But seeing Harry, looking at those green eyes darken in lust as he watched him fall apart, Lewis couldn't help but give in. His own eyes were transfixed by Harry's huge cock.
Enormous.
Nice. Longer and thicker, the worm inside him. He watches as Harry's hand strokes his magnificent cock, imagining that was what was fucking him in that moment. Wow.
Cheating on Rufus?
Wow. Rufus found his spot. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
are we boring you?
I lost where we were, so
Give me it, I'll find it. Hold on, Mario's being a slacker.
not really that high up.
We scrolled down further than we were.
Right here, Rufus had found.
Okay.
Keep with us.
That's right where it was. Cock and balls.
Rufus had found his spot, the worm rubbing incessantly at the sensitive gland. Lewis was thrusting his hips as much as his blindings would allow him. His blindings. His toes curling in pleasure. The angry worm sinks its teeth into Lewis's prostate, and he was coming. What?
He chomped it.
Harry follows. Lewis's cry of pleasure pushing him over the edge. Ropes and ropes of cum hitting Lewis's pulse and cock and balls.
Ropes.
Dude, he's shooting fucking ropes,
He's shooting ropes, dude.
Based. Lewis was sure he blacked out from the pleasure. He lay against the bed limp and totally spent. He watches as Harry cleans himself up, hearing him button and zip up his jeans. His eyes widened when the boy had turned towards the door. Rufus! Harry opened the door before turning back with an evil smile on his face. I told you. Oh, no, that's you, sorry.
I told you. Rufus is going to be a man soon. His species needs a warm, dark place to hibernate throughout their growth spurt. The next time I see my best friend again, he'll be double in size and at least thrice in girth.
Thrice?
He'll fill you up just fine.
The door closes, not before Lewis hears Harry laughing hysterically.
And that is the end of the first chapter.
Okay. Well, you know, I like it so far.
You like it?
It's got good graphics, good gameplay.
Good gameplay.
Are we ready for,
Chapter 2?
let's do it.
Alright.
Harry? Lewis could have sworn he heard the jiggling of the doorknob. Harry, is that you? He raised his head a few inches from the bed to get a better view of the entryway, but alas, there was no Harry. Lewis's heart sank as the jiggling stopped, and he was followed by footsteps that went further and further down the hallway. The boy didn't even bother yelling for help this time. As promised, the room was impenetrable. to sound. A lesson he had learned early on in forfeit of his voice. That, or they were too fearful of Harry, choosing to ignore his screams for help. Harry, my dude. Lewis would not waste his voice on deaf ears. Besides, any unnecessary movement in his part would just wake up the beast. Oh God. What?
Yep.
For a week, the worm lay dormant inside Lewis. Each day it grew just a little bit longer. Just a bit okay, sorry. I was being flavorful with the language.
That's okay, I enjoyed it.
Each day it grew just a bit longer, just a bit thicker. At first, there was only slight discomfort, a feeling of fullness, the dull pressure against that spot. It had kept him hard all this time.
Oh God.
Ooh, my dude, take a break. With each breath, he could feel its bristles soft. Fine tendrils ghosting against the swollen gland. Any sudden movements created delicious friction that sent waves of pleasure throughout his body. Over and over again, Lewis was slowly brought to the edge, but never close enough. That sounds like utter hell.
Torture.
That sounds like utter hell. Later, discomfort gave way to pain.
No, I bet.
The worm started to fill Lewis's insides, its girth pushed out against his inner walls, spreading them wider each day. The fit was incredibly tight, and every day Lewis would think his hole couldn't take it anymore, that he would surely tear. Only to be surprised the next day at his hole accommodating for another few millimeters. Adapt or die, Lewis. It was a mistake in Harry's account. However, to not have lined Lewis's inside with more oil. Yeah. Lesson learned.
Mm-hmm.
The worm did not secrete the slick substance while it slumbered, and as days went by, Lewis's insides became dry. So as the worm lengthened in both ends, its cold skin scratched his inner walls, the soft bristles feeling like barbed wire dragged within him.
Ouch.
I'm getting into it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm on board. It was at this point that Lewis screamed for help, begged for Harry, for anyone. His pleas were left unanswered. Even the beast didn't stir from his sleep. But that was 3 days ago. Now it seemed that every small movement or sound Lewis made roused the beast. It grew restless inside him, as if it too was getting impatient for its master. Lewis didn't like waking it up. Every time it did, it would push against his already bloated bowels, a twist around inside him, attempt to wriggle itself out on its own. And as much as Lewis wanted to get rid of the monster, they were stuck, any movement causing too much pain. Lewis could do nothing but count the days and hope that Harry would come soon.
I'm so bored!
Harry flopped down on the couch, letting the PS4 controller slip from his hands and fall onto the floor with a loud thud. He was supposed to be hanging out with Zane. Sorry.
So it is One Direction!
Yep. With Zane this week. But the boy had gotten himself in trouble with his father. Classic Zane. Yet again, Mr. Malik had to shell out a large sum of money to keep a girl and her parents quiet, and his only son out of jail. Classic. A polite cough interrupted Harry's train of thought.
What now, Liam?
He growled at his personal assistant.
You want to be the personal assistant?
No.
Come on!
I don't want.
Okay, you don't want to... Alright, fine.
You do it then.
Harry... Oh, Jesus. Master Harry, maybe you would like to check on Rufus. It has been more than a week, and he may have woken up already. In truth, Liam already knew that the worm has been roused from its slumber. It only needed a week to grow to maturity. Ever since then, he had checked on Lewis, who seemed to be growing desperate every day. Liam tried time and time again to remind Harry about the boy, but the young master was too preoccupied with playing his computer games. Harry's eyes lit up like it was Christmas morning. He had totally forgotten all about Rufus and his girlfriend.
What?
Come on, dude. A devious smile formed on his lips. Lewis can certainly entertain him for a few hours. He made his way to the basement, opening the door with the only key, letting it close behind him as he admired the sight in front of him. Lewis looked absolutely wrecked, his soft brown hair plastered to his forehead with a sweat, a slight sheen covering his body. The poor boy was aroused. The head of his cock, an angry shade of purple.
God.
Veins bulging along his shaft, his balls pulled up high into his body. the same dark pallor as his glands. God knows how long the boy has been teetering on the edge. He would certainly have to wait, however, for Harry's eyes were drawn further down. Rufus's tail peeked out a good inch or two from Lewis's body. The boy's hole dilated by a few centimeters. Harry marveled at the sheer size of the monster. Rufus must be at least 10 inches in length now, 3 inches thick, the biggest of its species yet. The worm must have had time to grow larger when he had forgotten to take it out within the week. Come on, man.
Come on.
Harry groaned, feeling his own monster strained inside his pants. With a finger, he traced the rim of Lewis's hole, puffy and pink, struggling to bear down around the worm. The boy was literally bursting at the seams. I feel like I'm getting desensitized at this point. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, yeah, that's reasonable. That's fine. Lewis whined, seemingly gentle. The seemingly gentle touch felt like fire against the taut skin. Harry, please, take him out. He's too big. I can't. He'll tear me apart. Harry, please. Harry looked up at Lewis, the smile on his lips scaring the boy in silence. He cooed as he brushed Lewis's hair from his forehead.
Nothing's going to happen if you don't calm down, love.
Patiently, he waited until Lewis had surrendered to him, meek and pliant under his gaze.
Good girl. Now let's talk. It's been a while, Lewis. How have you been?
Tears of frustration threatened to prick at Lewis's eyes. He was far too exhausted to play these mind games. I've been okay, Harry. How about you? Harry ignored the question.
That's good. And how's Rufus? Is he behaving himself?
Lewis hesitated, trying to choose his words carefully. Rufus has grown. Rufus has grown up so much. I don't think he likes being cramped, though. Harry just nodded, too preoccupied playing with Lewis's ass. He giggled as he spread the boy's cheeks open, only to squeeze them together around Rufus's tail. It reminded him of a hot dog in a bun.
I think it's time we woke up my boy.
Oh, God. This could go so many ways.
Yeah.
Okay. Without any warning, Harry tugged on Rufus's tail. Sure enough, that aroused the sleeping giant. Harry's face filled with glee as he watched the worm's tail whip back and forth. The display punctuated by Lewis's pain-filled sobs. Lewis's eyes were wide open, watching the creature slither inside him, its girth distending his abdomen. He was expecting the monster to burst through at any second. Harry tried to calm the beast by stroking its outline on Lewis's stomach. As much as he enjoyed the spectacle, he could not risk Lewis getting hurt. He had bigger plans for the boy. With what can only be explained as the bond between a monster and his master, Rufus went still. Harry grabbed one of the oil jars on the side table and poured the thick liquid down the boy's crack. This earned a sigh from the boy, a moan slipping from his lips as the oil soothed his hole. Nice. Harry smiled, amused at how easily Lewis turned into putty in his hands. His adept fingers brushed against the boy's taint until he was relaxed enough to let a finger in alongside Rufus.
Jeez.
Give this boy's ass a rest already.
Real.
Harry kept his thrusts shallow, his slick finger entering, skimming around Lewis's inner walls and then coming out once for more oil. When he thought Lewis's insides were slick enough, Harry gently pulled on Rufus's tail, inch by inch, pausing often to apply more lube. He worked to free the beast. Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
Something's gonna give.
Something.
Lewis was drunk with pleasure. He stretched out along the bed, legs spread open, eyes rolling to the back of his head, his knuckles white from gripping the railing tightly. His inner walls were so sensitive he could map out the surface of the worm's body. His ass lips opened and closed as each segment of the worm left his body, not unlike a ribbed phallus. Classy. Okay. It's coming out. It's coming out. It's almost over. It's almost over.
But
Soon, Harry pulled out Rufus's head. Nice. He struggled to put the creature back in its cage, the box a bit too cramped for its new size. We'll have to ask Liam to fetch a bigger box, but for now, he turned to Lewis.
does that feel better, pet?
It's out of his ass, you know?
Yeah.
He survived. I think this is going well. Lewis could only lull his head in assent. What is that? Okay. Exhausted from the whole ordeal. Harry cupped Lewis's cheek, making sure those blue eyes were focused on him.
Now what do you say?
Thank you, master. The words flowed from Lewis's lips like they weren't foreign. Harry smiled, pleased.
That's a good girl.
Lewis whined as his fingers brushed against the rim of his gaping hole.
Your hole is so wrecked, Lewis.
The boy's cheeks burned in shame.
You can't even close it, can you?
He's like, "Ugh,
I'm trying.
it's not working. Harry easily slipped in 3 fingers,
God, leave this guy's ass alone.
slowly thrusting them in and out. Master, no! Lewis protested. He was way too sore.
Shh. Gonna make you feel good, girl.
Lewis keened, long fingers taping incessantly at his spot. Taping. Harry grinned when he saw the clear fluid leaking out of Lewis's pea slit. He palmed himself through his jeans, the squelching of his fingers in and out Lewis's wrecked hole turning him on.
Fuck, you're taking 3 fingers so well. How about another?
Yes.
Poor man.
Yes. Harry didn't wait for an answer, slipping in his pinky. Despite Lewis's mules?
Yeah.
The small finger didn't meet much resistance either. An evil glint sparkled in Harry's eyes.
I bet your slutty hole can take more.
Oh yeah, it can. I'm sure it can.
I bet it could.
Before Lewis could wrap his head around those words, Harry was already pouring a liberal amount of oil on his hand.
Oh God.
He spread Lewis's hole with his 4 fingers, hooking in his thumb before plunging his fist inside. Harry screamed.
Lewis screamed.
Sorry, Lewis screamed.
So he just fisted him.
Yep. Harry tutted, his fist having met resistance at the 3rd knuckle. Turns out, his fist was still larger than Rufus. Ugh.
No shit.
Okay. Harry poured more oil on Lewis's hole. Pushing in and out to stretch it further, he twisted his hand inside Lewis, fingertips reaching for his nub. All the while, he cooed at Lewis, brushing his free hand up and down the boy's inner thighs, trying to get him to relax.
How do you possibly expect him to relax when you're fisting him?
My head hurts. His patience went out. His fist glided in, his hand disappearing inside the boy. Harry groaned at the tight heat, the slick, velvety skin wrapped around his fist. He could almost come imagining that feeling around his cock. He leaned forward, gently kissing the boy's forehead.
Such a good girl, Lewis. You're doing so good.
Lewis relaxed around Harry's fist, shivering when he felt the boy's knuckles brush against his insides. The slight burn dulled, giving way to pleasure. Here we go.
Here we go now.
Harry licked his lips as he explored Lewis's insides, thrusting in and out, twisting his wrists with a mischievous smirk on his face. He nudged at the very swollen nub, making the boy's cock twitch every so often. He watched Lewis's reaction as he slowly pulls his hand out, stopping just shy of the thickest part, his knuckles teasing against the loose ring of muscle. He tugged once or twice at his wrist, as if to yank it out of the boy's hole, marveling at the panic in Lewis's eye. How long is this? Okay.
Punch him?
Keep going. He pulled his hand back one more time, letting Lewis's ass stretch over his knuckles slowly before punching it back in his gut. Clear fluid squirted out of the boy's piss slit, a mixture of piss and cum that egged Harry on. The boy punched fucking
Punch fucking. What?
Punch fucking Lewis. Brushing against the swollen gland each time.
There you go, girl. Got you coming real good. Who knew a meat girl like you needed her pussy fist pounded just to make it squirt?
Tears streamed down Lewis's cheeks even as he moaned in pleasure. Harry was playing his body so well. Every time his fist punched his insides, Lewis felt another orgasm was being ripped from his body. The watery mixture flowed freely from the head of his cock, yet it didn't take off the edge. He still wanted to come. Harry laughed as he watched Lewis try to hump air.
What's the matter, girl? Is this not enough? You still want your little clit rubbed?
Yes, master. Please rub my clit.
Your little clit?
Yes, master. My little clit. Please touch me. The boy's prostate was being milked. Cum was pouring out of his cock without the feeling of completion. Harry had heard about prostate milking, but had never seen one. He didn't even think it was possible. Now, seeing Lewis desperately trying to orgasm as his cum was slowly drained from his balls, Harry's mind played with the idea of never granting the boy his release. You fucking little bitch.
No, I don't want to spoil my princess. You got to come. That's enough.
With one hand, Harry fumbled at his belt, unbuttoning his pants and unzipping his jeans. He pushed down his pants along with his boxers to reveal his hard cock. Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Oh, fuck.
I think it's Master's turn.
Lewis's eyes widened. Harry may not be as long or as thick as Rufus, but the boy was a lot stronger. He could definitely do a lot of damage with that thing. Lewis watched as Harry slicked himself up with oil, groaning as he stroked his phallus. It was beautiful. Blue eyes following how those long fingers brush along the shaft, how they grip around the base and just under the head. Man. This is hot. In different circumstances, Lewis would have considered himself lucky to lose his virginity to someone like Harry.
Like what you see, pet?
What a hell of a first experience, dude. Nice. Lewis had the decency to blush, shaking his head.
Don't worry, I'm not going to fuck you. I thought of something different.
Oh,
This poor guy.
please,
dude.
God, stop. We don't need anything different. Slowly, the fist inside Lewis's bowels bloomed out. His fist was still inside of him?
Yep.
Okay. Harry's long fingers spread open and closed with it closed in time with the strokes on his cock. Each time he spread his bony fingers wider, stretching out Lewis's insides. Stop. His ass has had enough.
Like, give the man a break.
Oh my
He
God.
probably has to fucking shit, dude.
Lewis could only shake his head vehemently, his legs thrashing against his bonds. Master, no. Stop. Stop opening your hand inside me. His cries fell on deaf ears. Harry started to pull his fist out once again, stopping at the thickest part. He spread his fingers, folding them such that there was a pocket inside, and slowly thrust his cock in between his fingers.
Sheesh.
His movements were clumsy at first. This is not well practiced.
No.
His fingers barely wrapping around his girth. Harry waits until he was all the way inside Lewis before moving his hand. He watched as more of his arm disappeared inside the boy.
God.
He's gonna shove his entire body inside of his ass. As he moved to stroke his cock. So is he stroking his cock
He's jacking off inside of his ass.
while it's inside of his
Yes.
ass? Cool.
Yeah. Oh God.
Here we go.
I'm doing it. I'm fucking jacking off inside you. Grody.
Harry laughed maniacally as he increased his pace, fingers pumping up and down his shaft, spreading Lewis's hole. Sometimes he'd let his hands stay still as he fucked his fist and Lewis all together. He could feel himself hover over the edge, his slick fingers, the tight, wet heat of Lewis's hole, and the squelching and slapping of their bodies bringing him close. The heat pooled in his loins.
Fuck, Lewis. Gonna seed you.
Mmm.
Seed.
Lewis sobbed as Harry stilled inside his body, his cum coating his insides, sated. Harry pulled out, yanking his hand back. Sorry. He pumped his cock once more, collecting a mixture of oil and cum and ass pussy juices.
Ass pussy?
Ass pussy juices? Before smearing his hand on Lewis's cheek.
Oh my god. You're so pretty with your makeup on.
He stood up, cleaning his hands with a moist towelette as he watched his cum leak out of Lewis's wrecked hole. Nice. Please let me go, Lewis begs. Rufus is a big boy now. He doesn't need me anymore. Just please, I won't tell, I promise. I won't tell anyone. Just please let me go. Cold green eyes silenced Lewis once again.
I don't think you understand, Lewis. You're Rufus's mate. When he starts feeling a little frisky, you're going to have his babies here in your pretty little tummy.
It's not over yet?
No.
Harry's fingers drew lazy circles on Lewis's stomach. He cleared his throat.
And about this little thing between us, I think it's best if we keep Rufus in the dark. He can be such a jealous lover.
What? Okay, hold on. Was that it? Are we going to part 3? There is a part 3.
There.
But it's shorter. I think.
Let me see. Yeah, it's much shorter.
Let's do it.
I might as well.
This is it.
Alright.
This is it.
Here we go.
Here we fucking go.
Here we fucking go.
Lewis, POV. It's the 3rd night of me being here, I think. And no one has come to check on me. Sorry. No one has come on me. Just me in a gray room with white linens cover. Is that how you say that?
Linens.
Yeah. Covering my frail body. What is going on? Why hasn't Harry checked on me? Or Rufus? I've gotten quite lonely, to be honest. No part of my body wants to move except for my princess parts, as Harry likes to call my dick. I must have passed out for days. I look around me for any clock or calendar, but I only see a metallic-looking clock that reads 9:08 a.m. My stomach growls, and I feel my body start to cramp from the lack of food. How come Harry hasn't woken me up and fed me? If I continue to sleep, I could become ill. What am I even doing here? I use all the strength in me to push my body up and walk to the door. As I twist it open, a whiff of eggs and toast fills my nose. Ew. I follow the smell, bringing my little feet to Harry's cooking at the stove. Oh, okay. I must have scared him because he jumped and burned his hand a tad.
Fuck! God, you startled me!
I let a giggle escape my mouth and in return get a stern glare from Harry. My laugh fades as now I'm petrified but also turned on. Harry studies my features as I do his furrowed brows above a pair of beautiful green eyes, followed by a light scruff atop of pink plush lips. His forest eyes bore into mine before he looks away and continues cooking. I blush and look down at my feet. Is this a different story?
No.
Okay. He's beautiful.
Princess, do you mind helping me cook?
He says, taking me out of my trance. I step in front of him and stir the eggs in a pan as he comes behind me and wraps his large hand around my waist. Nerves kick in and I can't focus as he begins to trail wet kisses down my neck his hard on pressing against my bum. I let out a shaky moan as he kisses below my ear. A bell from another room rings and Harry removes his hands quickly and scoots away. In comes Rufus, squirming and inching into the kitchen. To be quite honest, he scares me. I look back at Harry, who is buttering the toast, acting as if nothing had happened.
I'm sorry, what? Wait, Mario, you gotta at least read that part of Rufus.
I can't.
You can. Just try. Just do it.
There's no going back.
Just do it.
I have to like find it.
You weren't reading along with this?
No, because I
Okay,
wanted
I'll do
to
it.
see what they did, and then there's like no back button for me.
Oh, okay, it's fine. Isabakajis Jack Rufus says.
What?
Just be glad you didn't have to read that. Harry nods and sets Rufus on a high chair as he sits me next to him and we eat. Eating at the moment seems so gross considering Rufus is next to me. Whenever his body moves, it makes a wet noise, and watching him eat is disgusting. He eats raw meat. Yuck. Harry notices. I've ceased to eat.
Lewis, darling, eat up.
He says, and my stomach spins at the words. I scarf down the food, trying to pay no attention to Rufus, but struggling in the process. So, not a very intense... Oh, okay. Chapter,
Yeah.
but I wanted to... Didn't... Oh, God, okay. I think we're good.
Is that postable?
That was, disgusting. I don't know.
Oh, there's a Harry POV too.
I don't want to know.
It's short as well.
I don't want to know.
That was tough.
Thank you for finding that.
You're welcome.
That was truly a spectacular tale. I want to know who Lewis is. If it's like another boy band member or something.
Yeah.
Or if it's just like a made up character. I don't know. But, wow. That was pretty gross.
Interesting Harry POV. Not gonna lie. I learned some interesting things here. Here, I'll read Harry's POV.
You want to go for it?
Yeah, I'll read his POV.
Okay, go for it.
Well, because I'm Harry anyway, so...
That is true. It's on brand.
Alright, here we go. Harry's POV. Lewis still ceases to eat. I'm guessing he just finds Rufus grotesque. I mean, I do too, but I got used to it over the past couple of years of him being Rufus. But now, Rufus is becoming more sticky, and his body is creating slime that is audible, almost like the sound of noodles being stirred. That's a whack. Anyway, he's really just become a moving ball of mucus, and it's concerning me. I wonder if everything is going to plan. But then again, what if Lewis wasn't a virgin? Everything would just go downhill. God, I can't wait until everything ends.
Is this a prequel?
No.
Or is this... Okay.
This is all after, because Rufus is big.
So the next morning, they just like got up and had breakfast.
Yeah, he basically let him go.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sick of this disgusting creature living in my house, forcing me to follow every tedious command. But I always have to remember, this was my best friend. And the sooner this happens, everything will go back to normal. And maybe I can have Lewis for my own.
Ooh, trouble in paradise.
I snap out of my thoughts to see Rufus's beady eyes staring up at me from his high chair. I smile at him as if everything is okay, but it's not. I wanted to kill Rufus. He's not even himself anymore. He doesn't even let me call him by his real name.
Why? There's just like marital problems.
I know, right?
Between Rufus and Harry.
Harry, he's your best friend. He will be normal again. Just let the changing ritual continue, and everything will be alright. Stressed, I look over at Lewis, who has his oh-so-breathtaking ocean eyes on Rufus. His mucus-like slime engulfing him like an oozing blanket. I shiver in disgust and bring Lewis to his room so he can eat without feeling the need to barf every time he looks at the worm.
The end.
No, there's still more Harry POV.
Fuck it, go for it.
Alright, whatever. I take the last sip of my black coffee in my bedroom alone, staring out the window.
My guy.
Yeah, black coffee. Staring out the window, staring blankly at the deep forest that surrounds us. Anxiety consumes me and I can't help but think of what can go wrong. Lewis seemed like the perfect contender and he's so obedient, but is Lewis really a virgin? I ponder and think of what to do. I mean, I could ask him, but I know he would question my sudden curiosity. We just can't risk another reject.
This whole operation will be blown.
Completely. My thoughts begin to wander as I slump down in my chair, going over previous events. We cannot fuck up again. How can I be so naive? My blood is boiling. He has to be a virgin. He just has to. Lewis's tight taint and flushed cheeks cloud my mind, and I can feel my heart on already. He just looks so pure and untouched. Damn it! I yell, frustrated at myself and sexually.
Frustrated at myself and sexually, so wow.
My pants tighten and I know that the only way to get rid of
His
my
paints.
raging boner is to release.
His paint is tight.
His paints. My hands travel down to my zipper and I pull out my constricted shaft. Lewis doesn't leave my mind. I take my cock in my hands and firmly grasp it. Winky face.
Just another morning.
I continue to pump my pulsing cock and waves flow over me. Lewis's pants and whines echo in my mind like a cannon. Okay. I wish I could just walk into his room and fuck the shit out of him, but I know I can't. And if Rufus ever found out I was jerking myself off because of Lewis, it would be a disaster. I finish and come all over my toned stomach, grunting, thinking of my Lewis. Ooh. I need to grow the balls and ask him. I make my way back to Lewis's bedroom through the corridor and see him curled up in his bed, looking precious as ever. His legs tangled in the white down comforter with his perky bubble butt visible through his Adidas sweatpants.
His fucking bubble butt.
Was a sight to see.
I'm sure it was.
Oh, I'm sure. I seat myself on his bed next to him. He sits up slightly and adjusts. How are you? I start, not wanting to frighten him with a personal question right off the bat. He rolls his eyes and lays down as if everything I am about to say isn't important.
Is this? Am I Lewis?
Yeah, you're Lewis.
Okay. I'm fine.
He sneers. I thought I wouldn't bother him on his attitude because I know he's going through a lot right now. Lewis, I know this is difficult for you, but I need you to be honest with me. Now please tell me how you feel.
Well, how am I supposed to fucking feel?
Lewis yells. Hey, what did I say about attitude? Cut the shit! A tear rolled down his cheek.
Man, I'm such a bitch.
Hey, come here, it's gonna be alright. I rub my hand up and down his thigh, as if it were comforting him, but it's really only for my selfish needs. He looks up at me through his wet lashes, clung together, eyes slightly reddened. My thumb trails to his warm cheek and wipes the tear away. He sniffles and gets himself together. Guilt floods me, but I have no choice to keep him here. I need to stop distracting myself and ask the damn question. Lewis, are you a virgin? And that's like where it ends.
That's it?
Yeah. It says to be continued. And the last update was February 14th, 2017. So that's it.
We'll never find out.
Yeah.
Oh my god, okay.
Well.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
And that was the worm fic completion.
That was gross.
That was gross.